हरिओम गुरुजी.
हरिओम.
गुरुजी, शंकराचार्य जेव्हा त्या काश्मीरच्या सर्वज्ञ पीठामध्ये गेले होते ना,
हा
त्यावेळेला त्यांचं जे ज्या पंडितांना त्यांनी हे केलं होतं, म्हणजे वादामध्ये हे केलं होतं, त्याचे काही डिटेल्स आहेत का?
नाही, त्याचे डिटेल्स त्या चरित्रामध्ये एवढे दिलेले नाहीत, पण त्यांनी काही दिवस तिथे काश्मीरी पंडितांसमोर त्यांचे वादविवाद झाले. आणि वादविवाद म्हणजे विवाद नाही, वादच फक्त.
हा, बरोबर.
वाद ज्याला म्हणतो तो विवाद म्हटलं की मग विवाद, मग जलपद आणि वेगवेगळ्या त्याचे हे आहेत, विकृती आहेत.
हो,
तर
हो, हो.
त्यांनी ते केल्यानंतर जेव्हा त्यांनी मान्य केलं त्या पंडिताने की तुमचं म्हणणं बरोबर आहे, ते त्यांना खोडून काढता आलं नाही, त्यावर तिथे जाऊन ते मग त्या पीठावर, सर्वज्ञ पीठावर आरूढ झाले. म्हणजे इतका समंजसपणे त्यांनी तो विजय मिळवलेला आहे. असं भांडाभांडी आकांतांडव करून वगैरे असं नाही. अतिशय ते त्यांचं म्हणणं सगळं ऐकून घेतात आणि त्यांच्या म्हणण्यावर ते स्पष्टीकरण म्हणून जे बोलतात ना, त्या ऐकणाऱ्याला असं वाटेल की अरे हो, बरोबर आहे, हेच बरोबर आहे. आणि नंतर मग मंडन झालं, ते खंडन सुरू झालं की मग त्यातले दोष आपल्या लक्षात यायला लागतात आणि मग आचार्य आपल्या बाजूला सांगतात, त्याला परत शास्त्राचा आधार देतात. इतकं समंजसपणे त्यांनी ते केलेलं आहे, त्यामुळे ते हे शक्य झालं. नाहीतर भांडाभांडी आणि मारामारी झाली असती. जरा तसं नाही, खाली बसून, कधी उभ्याने काही करायचं नाही, खाली बसून बोलायचं, चर्चा करायची. उभ्याने चर्चा केली ना की भांडणाला किंवा मारामारीला पुढची शक्यता दाट असते. उभा असतोच तो, त्यामुळे खाली बसून चर्चा करायची आणि बेस कॉमन असला पाहिजे, तो म्हणजे शास्त्र. दोघांना कॉमन बेस असला पाहिजे, मग त्यांचं म्हणणं काय आहे, मागचं म्हणणं काय आहे सांगता येतं आणि मग ते मान्य करावं लागतं की यातला हा दोष आहे. पण प्रत्येक वेळेला त्यांचा तर्क इतका प्रखर आहे की ते त्या दुसऱ्याच्या तर्कातला वीक पॉइंट बरोबर काढून त्याच्यावर शास्त्राचं वचन कोट करून असं इतकं पद्धतशीरपणे केलेलं आहे. फक्त मंडन मिश्रा आणि आचार्य यांच्यातला संवाद मात्र डिटेलमध्ये आहे, म्हणजे तो
हा,
तुला मिळेल.
ऍक्च्युली काय झालं की मध्ये मला वाटतं मागच्या वर्षीच्या शंकर जयंतीच्या वेळेला चिन्मय मिशनचं एक सोशल मीडिया पोस्ट निघाला होता की नो अबाउट द ग्रेट मिशनरी, असं. तर मी
हा
ते घेतलं होतं चिन्मय मिशन मधून, आणि त्याच्यामध्ये त्याचे पूर्ण डिटेल्स आहेत की मग
हा
नेमकं मग ज्ञानाचं काय रोल, मग शास्त्रांचं काय व्हॅलिडिटी वगैरे, ते सगळं आहे. म्हणून जरा उत्सुकता होती की त्यांनी जे सर्वज्ञ पीठ, त्याला एक तर सर्वज्ञ पीठ का म्हणतात हे पण मला नाही माहिती ऍक्च्युली.
मला पण तेवढा अगदी तपशील माहिती नाही, पण सर्वज्ञ ही ईश्वराला फक्त पदवी दिली. सर्वस्य करता सर्वज्ञ, हे आपण आचार्यांचं लॉजिक तसं आहे. पण त्या तोडीचा माणूस होणं म्हणजे त्यांनी त्याचा जीवभाव संपूर्ण विरून समर्पित करून तो त्या ईश्वर तत्वाशी एकरूप झालेला आहे ज्ञानाने, हे निर्देशित करतं. आणि दुसरं म्हणजे तिथे अधिकार गाजवण्यापेक्षा, जसं आपण म्हणतो, यू शुड नॉट डिमांड द रिस्पेक्ट, यू शुड कमांड द रिस्पेक्ट. तसं त्यांनी आतापर्यंत सगळ्या उरलेल्या भारतवर्षामध्ये सगळ्यांचे सगळे प्रश्न मिटवून, त्यांची आपापसातली भांडणं मिटवून, नंतर त्यांना ते काय म्हणतात ती पंचायतन पूजा सांगून सगळं त्यांचं म्हणजे सगळे तंटे मिटवले. असं करून करून ते वरती आले. त्यामुळे त्यांनी खालचे सगळे प्रदेश जिंकलेले होते. जसा मुकुटमणी नुसता ठेवतात फायनल विक्टरी म्हणून, तसं ते सर्वज्ञ पीठ आहे असं वाटतं. त्यामुळे तिथे बाकी सगळं त्याने आता पण जी एक एक इंच सीमा लढवतात, त्याप्रमाणे त्यांनी प्रत्येक तत्वज्ञान, ते जे षडदर्शन आहे, ते सगळ्यात शेवटून दुसरं जे आहे सांख्य, ते कपिल मुनींचं, ते मुख्य बेस आहे आणि ते मेजर पार्ट ऑफ दॅट इज ऍक्सेप्टेड ॲज इट इज. फक्त त्यांचा शेवटचा भाग जो प्रकृती आणि पुरुष दोन आहे तेवढाच फक्त कापून यांनी त्याच्या वरती मुकुट ठेवला आणि आपण जिंकले, असं झालं ते. म्हणजे ते इतका अशी ती चार्वाकापासून ते सगळ्यांचा दुवा उडवला. पण सांख्य तत्वज्ञान आणि योग कोणाचा जो ते दोन आहेत, अष्टांग योग जो आहे तो अष्टांग योग आणि सांख्य कपिल मुनींचा सांख्य, हे दोन तत्वज्ञानामधले काही भाग त्यांनी मान्य केले वेदांतासाठी आणि काही भागाचा त्यांनी हे केलं, त्याचं खंडन केलं. त्यामुळे ते दोन शेवटचा, त्यातला सांख्य हा शेवटचा आहे. आणि त्या सांख्याचं सगळं त्यांनी मान्य केलं, फक्त शेवटचं त्यांचं जे कन्क्लुजन होतं की प्रकृती पुरुष ही दोन तत्व आहेत आणि त्यात प्रकृतीच काम करते, पुरुष काही करत नाही वगैरे, हे जे आहे त्यात त्यांनी पुरुषोत्तम म्हणतात त्याप्रमाणे या दोघांच्याही मागे एक तत्व आहे की जे आता द्विविध झालेलं आहे असं आपल्याला दिसतं, ते मुळात एक आहे ते दाखवणार त्याने अद्वैत. त्यामुळे असं स्कोअर पॉइंट बाय पॉइंट स्कोअर केल्यामुळे सर्वज्ञपीठ हे शेवटचा नुसता तुरा आहे, नुसता त्यातला काय म्हणतात त्यांच्या शिरपेचातला तो एक तुरा आहे शेवटचा. आता अतिशय स्टेप बाय स्टेप त्यांनी सगळे पॉइंट कव्हर केले, सगळे इतर दर्शनं कव्हर केली, जैन बौद्ध वगैरे सर्व कव्हर केले. जैनाला निदान सैश्वर जैन आहे, त्यांचा ईश्वरावर विश्वास आहे म्हणून ते काही प्रमाणात केले. इथे बौद्धांना तर भारताबाहेर हाकलून केले, म्हणजे इथे काही टिकणारच नाही, त्यांचा विरुद्धच असतो त्यात शून्यवादापासून. त्यामुळे मग इकडे शून्यवाद तर आपल्या इकडे पूर्णवाद झाला आणि मग त्याचं सुरू झाला म्हणून ते काढूनच टाकलं. पूर्णवाद असा स्वतंत्रपणे करण्यापेक्षा त्याचं पण एक आहे, एक संप्रदाय आहे पूर्णवाद संप्रदाय. त्यांचं पूर्णमिदम हे महावाक्य आहे त्यांच्यासाठी. आणि आपल्या इथे पण मी ठाण्यामध्ये एक दोनदा मी मला बोलवलं होतं तिकडे त्यांच्याशी बोलायला, कारण त्यांच्या संप्रदायामध्ये सगळी फॅमिली म्हणजे फॅमिलीला दीक्षा द्यायची. त्यामुळे त्या प्रत्येक कार्यक्रमात लहान मुलांपासून सगळ्यांनी आलं पाहिजे, तिथे हजेरी लावली पाहिजे. मग मी त्याचा फायदा घेतला आणि सांगितलं पहिले सगळे जेवढे युवक आहेत तेवढे पहिल्या पुढच्या रांगेत बसा, बाकी सगळे मागे. हे मोहिनीची मैत्रीण होती, तिचे बाबा त्याच्यामध्ये होते आणि त्यांनी ती एक जागा घेतली ती ठाण्यामध्ये त्याच्यासाठी खास. तिथे बोलवलं होतं. पहिले या लोकांना पुढे बसवलं, बाकी सगळे मागे बसावं आणि त्याचा परिणाम झाला त्यावर. बऱ्याच जणांना ते आवडलं, त्या मुलांना तेवढा धीर आला, आपल्याला पुढे बसवलं आणि महत्व दिलं म्हणून. तर ते असा शून्यवाद आणि पूर्णवाद असं एकापुढे एक असं होण्यापेक्षा सरळ एक तत्वज्ञान शिरोधार्य समजून त्यानुसार ते समजून घेण्याचा प्रयत्न करा. कारण आधीच्या लोकांनी एवढं रिसर्च R&D केलेले आहे त्याच्यावर, या सर्व आचार्यांनी म्हणा किंवा त्या ऋषीने, त्या आणखी परत खोलात त्याच्यात जायचं. आता न्यूटनने जर गुरुत्वाकर्षणाचा शोध लावला तरी मी तपासून बघतो म्हणायचं झालं तर मग तिसऱ्या मजल्यापासून उडी मारायची असं होईल ते. त्यामुळे सगळ्याच गोष्टी तपासून बघण्याची आवश्यकता नसते, आहे त्या मान्य करून त्याच्या पुढचे जे प्रांत अज्ञात असतील तर ते ज्ञात करून घेणं हे महत्वाचं आहे. इट्स अ ग्रोईंग, म्हणून आपल्या धर्माला ग्रोईंग ट्रेडिशन असं म्हटलेलं आहे. आम्ही कुठे कासूड गेलेलं नाही, पण आम्हाला अंतिम सत्याचा शोध लागलेला आहे. मध्ये कोणी जर आम्हाला आणखी तपशील दिला तर आम्हाला स्वीकारू, पण त्याच्याशी कॉम्प्रोमाइज नाही करणार. सो इट इज अ ग्रोईंग ट्रेडिशन, नॉट अ फिक्स ट्रेडिशन. बाकीचे जे ट्रेडिशन आहेत ना ते त्याच्यातून त्यांची शिस्त पाळून ते जर गेले तर पुढे ठीक आहे. ते त्या आपले कृष्णमूर्ती, जे कृष्णमूर्ती आहेत ते असेच आहेत, त्या संप्रदायातून बाहेर पडले, पलीकडे गेले आणि म्हणजे तो संप्रदाय धरून बसले नाही, त्या संप्रदायाची सगळी शिस्त पाळली, सगळं समजून घेतला आणि त्याच्या पलीकडे गेले. हा संप्रदायाचा मुख्य हेतू आहे की आलेल्या नौक्याला प्रथम शिस्त, एक सांप्रदायिक शिस्त द्यायची, त्याचे सांप्रदायिक विचार तत्वज्ञान सगळं समजून घेत तो पुरेसा विकसित झाला की मग त्याला त्याच्या पुढचं यायला तो मोकळा होतो. तसं त्याने ते जे कृष्णमूर्तीने ते तसं धाडस थोडं केलं. ते थिओलॉजिकल मराठा सोसायटीच्या थ्रू वगैरे गेले.
भजन लावतो गुरुजी.
हा 7-5 झाले.
हा.
गोविंद गोपाल हरी नारायण कुणी हरी म्हणा, कुणी गोविंद म्हणा, कुणी गोपाळ म्हणा, हरी नारायणा. कुणी हरी म्हणा, कुणी गोविंद म्हणा, कुणी गोपाळ म्हणा, हरी नारायणा. गोविंद गोपाळ हरी नारायणा. गोविंद गोपाळ हरी नारायणा. कुणी हरी म्हणा, कुणी गोविंद म्हणा, कुणी गोपाळ म्हणा, हरी नारायणा. कुणी श्याम म्हणा, घनश्याम म्हणा, मेघश्याम म्हणा, राधे श्याम म्हणा. श्याम म्हणा, घनश्याम म्हणा, मेघश्याम म्हणा, राधे श्याम म्हणा. कुणी हरी म्हणा, कुणी गोविंद म्हणा, कुणी गोपाळ म्हणा, हरी नारायणा. गोविंद गोपाळ हरी नारायणा. कुणी राम म्हणा, राजा राम म्हणा, सीताराम म्हणा, आत्माराम म्हणा. राम म्हणा, राजा राम म्हणा, सीताराम म्हणा, आत्माराम म्हणा. कुणी हरी म्हणा, कुणी गोविंद म्हणा, कुणी गोपाळ म्हणा, हरी नारायणा. गोविंद गोपाळ हरी नारायणा. कुणी दत्त म्हणा, गुरुदत्त म्हणा, श्रीपाद म्हणा, गुरुदेव म्हणा. दत्त म्हणा, गुरुदत्त म्हणा, श्रीपाद म्हणा, गुरुदेव म्हणा. कुणी हरी म्हणा, कुणी गोविंद म्हणा, कुणी गोपाळ म्हणा, कुणी हरी नारायणा. गोविंद गोपाळ हरी नारायणा. कुणी ईश म्हणा, जगदीश म्हणा, सर्वेश म्हणा, परमेश म्हणा. ईश म्हणा, जगदीश म्हणा, सर्वेश म्हणा, परमेश म्हणा. कुणी हरी म्हणा, कुणी गोविंद म्हणा, कुणी गोपाळ म्हणा, हरी नारायणा. गोविंद गोपाळ हरी नारायणा. गोविंद गोपाळ हरी नारायणा. गोविंद गोपाळ हरी नारायणा. ओ ॐ सहना भवतु, सहनौ भुनक्तु, सह वीर्यं करवावहै, तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Hari Om friends, welcome to Yuva Chaitanya. We are on 8th chapter and discussing very important. Last time we had discussed the pitfalls in japa, and we have covered that chapter, that topic. And now we have to proceed to the next topic, the fourth one, and that is stop worry, act. This chapter 8 seems to be very, very important, directly instructive. We'll just follow the instructions in our own goodness. So now, just to warm up for the discussion, the last statement of the last topic, pitfalls in japa, is japa polluted by his profit motive cannot end in spiritual effulgence of the one doing it. Is a statement. I welcome your comment on this. Japa polluted by the profit motive cannot end in spiritual effulgence of the one doing it. That was our last point. Usually we don't get much time to discuss in detail our last point. And therefore it becomes the a good point for us to warm up for the new discussion.
The regularity, sincerity, and the consistency of the japa, which the seeker should develop, that can give the success in his spiritual progress. If there is selfish motto, then this will not help in the spiritual progress. And
selfish motto is, please change the word. Only if you can find a better word.
Profit making, what his profit motive means, for gaining something, you are doing japa for worldly gain, not the spiritual gain.
No, whatever it is, whether it is worldly or otherwise, otherworldly, it is profit motive. Means what will I get if I do this?
Yes.
Generally,
normally the mind is like that. I have to get something, then only I'll do something.
Yes.
But that practice has to be this with the consistency and the regularity. The mind is more tuned to the divine deity, who is whatever particular deity you are doing japa. So this will improve the mental attitude of the seeker.
I see. But you have not said anything about the effulgence and all.
The selfishness will never give, because the divinity is inside, and if you are just doing at the level of...
You are repeating selfishness again. Now, last time we have made a statement. Even the Vedantin is also, from the real sense of the term, selfish, with S capital. The S capital is our own self. And that is what we are trying to be. But the otherwise word selfish with a small s is concerned with some profit or benefit at the level of physical, psychological, intellectual.
Yes.
That is discouraged. And we need to realize ourselves as the self. And therefore S capital. Now this indication that we become the self is indicated here. How do we know that we have become the self? with S capital. There has to be some indication. Anyone else? Gauri, can you try?
So self-effulgence is the self is the nature of Ananda, Satchit Ananda. So you should get, you should be full and satisfied uh, when you are doing with the japa, or maybe after the japa. That japa should transform your this.
No, give you the experience of the happiness or joy or bliss.
Yes.
This we have covered earlier only. When there are two possible defects, one is stupor and another is the irritation. After the end of japa or during the japa, we feel sleepy is one possible pitfall. And another one was that after the japa is over, we get irritated with small things outside. So which means that the mind was under the suppression during the japa. Now that it is over, it comes out with this kind of irritation. Now both that time we have considered this point, what we are raising now. It is already covered. Ananda aspect is already covered. So to experience the cheerful disposition of the mind or the bliss or joy is the first indication of success in japa or dhyanam. Japa dhyanam is together used, that the dhyanam, the exercise of meditation, can begin with japa, and which will help us in the meditation. But finally, the success, immediate success indication is the cheerful disposition of the mind at the close of the exercise. When we come out of this exercise, we feel cheerful. So this prasannata of the mind, or the joy or fullness that is felt as a result of that, that is not our motive. That's not profit motive. As a process has resulted in the cheerful disposition of the mind. So this is only indicative of our first success, initial success. That is all. We cannot just stay there or linger there to continue. We have to proceed. And what is the next indication of success? That we have become the self. That indication is given here.
Guruji, if I have become the self, then I don't see any distinction between me and anything or anybody else. And if I don't see any distinction between me and anybody else, then where is the question of ambition or gain coming from? So if
because you have jumped to the higher level, in between you have skipped one day, there you won't get the link that Madatma Sarva Bhutatma, the self in me is self everywhere. This is almost the last stage for the individual, when the sense of individuality is merged in the totality. Kim bahuna charachara apanachi rahala. He has become all, therefore he has no special thing. As even Lokmanya Tilak also said, when he was told that he lost his son or his wife when he was in the jail. So he said the whole country is in actually danger. Where do I go and have my special, what you can call a grief for grief for the lost wife, etc. So he's merging, he is in harmony with the totality. The whole nation is under subjugation by the British rule and it's suffering a lot. Where do I patch my sorrows? मराठीमध्ये त्या म्हणे सगळं आकाश पाटलं तर ठिकळ कुठे लावणार तुम्ही सगळं आकाश पाटलं आणि टोटॅलिटी ही वॉज ऑलरेडी इन हार्मनी विथ द टोटॅलिटी दॅट्स व्हाय ही गेव अप हिज जॉब ही गेव अप ऑल द फॅमिली कन्सर्न and then his job of teaching everything he gave up for this national struggle. So this is very important and these are highest, but at present we are stuck up in between, cannot reach that level. Somebody asked Lokmanya Tilak, of course the correspondent, asked, suppose that in your own lifetime we get the freedom, political freedom we get, then what kind of minister you would like to be? So Mr. Tilak laughed and he said, let me know that the India is free. I'll go back and teach to my students. He was a good teacher for mathematics, for English, for Sanskrit, etc. So he said he would be happy to go back to his profession. See, this is the kind of spirit of a Sattvic person. So he's not ambitious of power and all that. But at this moment, when the whole nation is in danger because of the Britishers ruling over us, we don't have even a political freedom. Therefore, the first thing is that once that is over, once that is achieved, thereafterward there's a lot of scope for the improvement, development of our country in various spheres. Then I'll go back to my sphere and improve my area. So this kind of vision is great. And so he has almost reached the totality level and he was in harmony with that. When he used to have the dinner in the jail, the sparrows used to sit on his shoulders without any fear and he used to feed them. This kind of achievement is what is Vedanta's achievement. That the others don't fear. Otherwise, as a rule, all creatures fear the man. Man is supposed to be the god for them. But man is doing otherwise. That is why we are going away from the main reality. So the Tilak has achieved that also. At the time of lunch, they also would know, they will know their timing. The sparrows, etc., will come in, sit on his shoulders, and he will feed them. This kind of experience is great, really. That they don't feel any kind of fear with this person. It means that the love in his heart has blossomed forth to accommodate all others in his heart. The heart is large enough to accommodate others. That kind of love. So this is achievement. But now we cannot jump to that level. We are at the individual level or the personal sadhana of japa and dhyana. Now pitfalls in japa. There is the topic. And in this, what is the achievement we can say of the japa yoga can take to what achievement is just indicated in the last statement. It should not be difficult for you. I know that you are only missing that point. Moment if I just give you some clues, what is the nature of the self?
Infinite awareness.
Infinite awareness. Okay. You have missed one word. That's the problem.
Infinite absolute awareness.
Infinite?
Absolute awareness.
No. Oh, missed one important
Light
word
of
from that.
light.
Very good. It is the
Effulgence is light.
Ah. So the light of infinite objectless awareness. All technical terms, here you have missed the word light. And that is where it is indicative, the effulgence. Man will lose that effulgence if he has profit motive. And japa has capacity to take you to that where you will experience your nature as infinite objectless awareness of everything. Objectless means no particularization in of anything in the world, but is aware that I am all. I am the all. So this is Swamiji has indicated. I really repeatedly love his ornamental language, and he has fully capitalized that skills in his literary skills for Vedantic explanations, and in such a manner that it doesn't become like a philosophy, a bit boring subject. It has become a very interesting subject, and the person is inspired for that. When he goes through this literature, definitely he would like to take to it instead of just listening and just keeping himself informed and forgetting about it. So this is the most valuable and indicative statement. It is not really speaking elaborating, but is indicated he will lose that. What is the main maximum gain that he will get from Japa Yoga is this, that he will lose the spiritual polluted by profit motive cannot end. So the Japa Yoga has a capacity to end you at the end of your journey, end of your spiritual journey. The end of spiritual journey is experiencing that on the infinite objectless awareness, light of awareness. The light is indicative of this word here, the spiritual effulgence. Spirit stands for self. Spiritual effulgence is the effulgence which is the nature of the self. And this effulgence is objectless because it is even before the Prakriti can manifest. Avyakrita, unmanifest Prakriti. In the presence of this light of awareness, the Prakriti can manifest. Moment it manifests, it becomes all pervasive witness, all pervasive universal witness consciousness. I'm adding these terms so that each term should give us some idea of that aspect. And together, he becomes entire all. He becomes the all. Kembahuna Charachara. You can see the more we study, we come to know the depth at which the saints are. The saints and the sages are. Their depth will be understood to the extent we can go into the deeper recesses of the contents or meaning. So here it is, that last statement. I think we are warmed up enough, and now we are proceeding to the next one. Stop worry. Act is the fourth topic in this chapter. And see, in spite of all is taken care of in Japa Yoga, still worry is something which will not spare you. It is possible that still you will come across the worrying sense of the mind. And now Swamiji is squarely dealing with it, because that's the only thing that is left out. In spite of all this preparedness on the part of spiritual seeker so far, still the worry is the point, mental worry is the point still left, which is not yet fully taken care of. And here we can see Swamiji's prompt guidance, how we should handle this. This is a great lesson even for the psychiatrist and psychologist, apart from the spiritual seeker. We should study it carefully and discuss so that we can understand. So now I'll just read the first para. Mighty plans of action can be undertaken only by equally mighty men. A man is mighty according to the amount of energy and concentration and tranquility of mind he can bring into his undertaking with confidence in himself and faith in the goal he has chosen to reach. This self-confidence can be generated and continuously maintained even in the face of dire difficulties only if we hold on to our conviction. What we have gathered as knowledge from our studies of the scriptures, when reinforced by our deeper reflections upon them, becomes our understanding of them. And when we try to live our understanding, it hardens and crystallizes into our conviction. The first para itself is packed up with so much significant words. I think that itself will be great if we could cover it satisfactorily in our discussion. Now, I may suggest that this is the first statement. Mighty plans of action can be undertaken only by equally mighty men. Reminds me of a Vivekananda statement. the mighty undertakings are achieved through mighty obstacles. He has used the word great. The greater undertakings are achieved through mighty obstacles. So he says, for doing ordinary things, we have problems. And if we do not make it an issue, those problems can be resolved. But as our undertaking becomes higher and greater, the difficulties and obstacles are also not ordinary, and they are also higher and greater. So here, that is that first statement, Swamiji's first statement is indicative of the Vivekananda statement. And this is where I see some sense of alignment in the thought structure of Swami Vivekananda, strictly followed by Swami Chinmayananda in his own way, and also fulfilled all the programs that Vivekananda has not been able to take care in his last days. He has taken up all those programs listed by him, like brahmachari training, etc. He has taken brahmachari training at the last days when he was not well, Swami Vivekananda. So that has become one of the major and costly projects in the Mumbai Sandipani Sadhanalaya. The first course started it somewhere in 1962. It went on for 6 years because Swamiji's availability. So he would take like Adi Shankaracharya, he would take the group, all the group of trainees or disciples along with him wherever he goes to conduct this Jnana Yajna. So that was, you can say, the training on the job and training on the wheels and wings, so to say. So that was not. But then next attempt, when Swami Dayananda came to be as a chief acharya of Sandipani, that time he has invited some 72 students for the course, out of which 20% were reserved for the foreigners, 80% were Indian, and 80% were also represented statewide, selected. I mean, the number was controlled. And thus, he has a great success in that. Within 2 years, instead of 6 years, 2 years, what in the earlier days, after the thread ceremony, a boy of 8 years would go to the teacher's ashram or teacher's residence to stay with him for 12 years. That is tapas. His tapas is of 12 years period. So from 8 to the age of 20, he would be with his teacher and learn that 12 years portion is comprised in 2 years, because now the student is minimum graduate in any faculty. That time he was just initiated at the age of 8. Here it is at the age of 25, 22, 25. He is taken. Therefore, he is intelligent enough in his discipline. He knows how to think logically, reasonably. So, whole thing is comprised into, entire Vedanta course is comprised into 2 years. And likewise, he has then later on comprised it further for an introductory course, etc. And Dharma Seva course, etc. So, here it is, what we are saying is that Swami Vivekananda's vision about the reality, about his free India, about his national problems, all this Swamiji has studied very well, it looks like, and he has literally executed all his plans. Sometimes it is said, people say he's next to Swami Vivekananda. And there is one incident where we could feel that Swami, one who was once upon a time Swami Vivekananda, is now Swami Chinmaya. The same content is same, only appearance is different, and period is different, opportunities and the problems are different, but we managed to continue whatever, because Swami Vivekananda himself has said, so long as there is even a single poor man, a single downtrodden, or a single illiterate, I will come back and take birth in this country and work for them. I don't want any realization and liberation. I'll come back again and again. This is his saying. He has insisted for that. Therefore, we can observe, seeing the similar, tackling the similar required field of service. So our Swamiji, our Swamiji has also fulfilled lot of programs of Swami Vivekananda. He has never declared that, but we can compare that. So here, the greater undertakings are achieved through mighty obstacles is Vivekananda's statement. And now you can see here the first statement is that mighty plans of actions can be undertaken only by equally mighty men. In the same spirit, only wording is different. And now he starts analyzing the main sentence. What is the mighty man? So now here the first point here for our discussion is a man is mighty according to the amount of energy and concentration and tranquility of mind he can bring into his undertaking, with confidence in himself and faith in the goal he has chosen to reach. There are so many, at least 5 points here in this comprised one sentence, a big sentence with clauses, and it gives a lot of material for discussion. The first thing is the amount of energy. What is your comment on this word? How do we understand the word energy?
We have seen 3 types, that strength, power and energy.
Very good. Now what about energy? How do we get the energy?
We get energy with the goal which we are setting. That goal,
Pardon?
goal setting.
Goal setting, how would it help us?
So it provides continuous energy, because there is goal to reach up to that. We put in our efforts.
And now how would you suggest, is there any other word that you can suggest equivalent?
Equivalent to goal.
No, energy. We're discussing on that.
Urja.
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 That is only translation in the vernacular. Another word. You have said already.
Consciousness.
Huh?
Consciousness.
No.
Primordial energy, we call it as. From primordial energy, we are getting.
Okay, from where? When you say primordial, it is a technical term again. In the electrical engineering, the motor and the generator. The motor is a prime mover, like here primordial. But
Inspiration or spurti.
Yes, that is the term. See, this is how discussion helps in our understanding. Inspiration, energy, enthusiasm. These are all the one after the other terms and we use. And when you say goal setting, when you have a goal set high, and Swamiji makes it very clear, it should be so high that it will not be ordinarily reached by the individual. Our goal is not to reach the goal. Our goal is to strive ourselves and heighten our abilities and capacities in our attempt to reach the goal. Even if the goal is not reached, never mind. But the striving. In Marathi literature, I think Sane Guruji has written a book whose title is Dhadpadnari Mule. Dhadpadnari Mule. This is striving. Strive to reach the higher. Try to build up capacities, abilities. And who can give you this energy, enthusiasm? The goal. Looking like a pole star. When you look at the goal, even the remembrance of the goal that you have set itself will give you inspiration and energy. But the energy is a very, very important word. It is connected with the intellectual level. And if the intellect can foresee the higher possibilities and set a goal for him, instead of living like any other animal, then definitely the goal in turn will inspire us. There are two used in management vocabulary. Second word is used more often. First word is this inspiration. Another word is motivation. When a person needs motivation, motivation comes from outside. Inspiration comes from within. The one who is inspired worker need not have any bossing. He will work on his own because from inside he gets the inspiration, enthusiasm, energy. And motivation means something external. The higher authorities or the boss has to tell. See, normally you produce 25 numbers of products in 8 hours. If you produce 40 numbers, you will get this much incentive for that. Every additional 15 number, instead of 40, instead of 25, if you make 40 in a day, you will get so much incentive. And that motivates him to work more. So this motivation is from the external, whereas the inspiration is from within. Because you have chosen a goal which inspires you, which gives you energy, inspiration, enthusiasm. Therefore, from within you are active, you are enthusiastic, you don't need any bossing to do your work. Whereas the motivation, he will see he has already got the capacity. He is not working to his full capacity. That's why he was producing only some 25 atoms or 25 quantity of a given product. Now incentive is given, he can take out a better capacity, higher capacity, which already he has got. And likewise, he will bring out a little more for a little more incentive. This is motivation, external. Here it is inspiration. So energy is the first word that is used here. There are about 5 items for us to discuss. So energy. Then next is concentration. This concentration and single pointedness recently we have discussed. Single pointedness of the mind and single pointed mind is concentrating on a given area. That is concentration. So single pointed mind concentrating on a given area of thought. There we come across the word concentration. So it presupposes a single pointed mind. Now the area of concentration is not mentioned here, need not be mentioned. These are equipping the seeker for his journey. The first one we saw is energy, means he should have the goal in life. In school days, I had the hobby of taking autographs of those great people who used to visit school or gathering or function. Somehow I would manage to go there, reach there, and forward my small little book for that. I didn't know that there are books available, especially for autographs, but I had small diary. And one of the education minister has come, and he has given a message: keep the goal in life. There of some nature which is of this kind. Content was of this: the keep the goal in life and work or learn. Something like that. He has given a message. So this setting a goal is some thought that he has inserted. That it is not the daily life of earning, spending, all those things that generally every living creature goes through. That's a normal cycle. But when we have been blessed with the discriminating faculty, which has made us self-conscious, now we can think of our development, improvement, evolution, etc. Then definitely these are the ideas that we need to understand. So here the concentration word presupposes the single pointedness of the mind, and now that single pointedness is focused on a given area called as concentration. This is one, the second point. First we have seen is as the energy, second one is concentration and tranquility of mind. What can be said about that? We have all discussed this, but now Swamiji is bringing all together because now he has to concentrate on the last point which the earlier preparedness has not covered and still remains. That is worrying. And he is now preparing in his presentation, preparing the reader or student to first digest what all he has already learned, and now see in the light of this new understanding, still there is a problem of worry. It's not easy thing. Ordinary mental depression itself takes us a lot. Lot of concern for ourselves, for the doctors, for psychiatrists, this and that. So here, the next one is tranquility. What can be said about tranquility based on our earlier discussion? How we arrived at this tranquility of the mind?
First, the mind should be quiet, serene, and tranquil. These are the 3 steps.
Now, quiet, instead of quiet, we have another word in this series.
Calm.
Yes. Calm, first level.
Yes.
When it stops thinking about the world of objects, then it becomes calm. Is the beginning. The calm mind can become serene when the calm mind is given the job to think something nobler and higher. So, trying to reflect upon the nature of the self or such higher things, the mind will become serene. And the last one, finally, it has to become tranquil, that is stilled. When the mind becomes stilled, it becomes the perfect medium to manifest the effulgence of the spirit. Mind is the medium. If you want to experience something, we require a medium of experience. And mind is always the medium of experience. It is through mind that we feel. When we say we feel, it is not just the emotions. Apart from that, to feel is to experience. Therefore, to experience the effulgence of the self, we need a right frame of mind. The right frame of mind is when the mind becomes tranquil. Tranquility is not ordinarily achievable. We need to conquer it step by step. Therefore, the first thing is withdrawal of the mind from the outer world, at least so long as we are at the sitting of reflection or meditation. At this moment, I must be able to withdraw my mind completely from the outer world, make it introvert and gathered, so that now it is available. Now, such a mind is called as calm mind, or the other three set of words: quiet, peaceful, and silence. So likewise, these are the two equal sets of words, but both the sets are suggesting a step-by-step exercise. Our ability to withdraw from the outer world and make the mind available for our treatment within is the first level. That makes the mind calm or quiet. And only the calm or quiet mind is available for further work, and that work is the reflection upon the higher things within us. That is reflection upon the self, the nature of the self. So the nature of the self is the topic for the calm and quiet mind to undertake, so that it becomes next stage, that is either peaceful or serene. This is a sattvic level of mind, and then it becomes a fit medium for the effulgence of the self as available within us as pure consciousness. It manifests in the mind. That mind which is tranquil or silent. So Swamiji's instruction, if you remember, on meditation is make the mind silent and watch the silence. Mind is silent, and therefore mind on its own will not create any disturbance. This is the state when you can watch the silence, because of which the silent mind could be recognized. Even in the buzzing sounds around, silent mind can never be appreciated, nor can mind afford to remain silent. It will also become a buzzing one. But when we have, through proper process, handle the mind to make it first calm and quiet, first level, where it is free from the thought related to the world of OET, other than ourselves, then it is available for the actual spiritual treatment through reflection and contemplation. So through reflection, it becomes next serene or peaceful. And in the ultimate or last attempt of contemplating upon one's nature, the mind becomes tranquil. The tranquility or stillness of the mind enables us to experience through mind that which is beyond the mind. It's a perfect medium or frame of mind that we get. And we have seen this also as a very important verse in Gita. Before the Sita Prajna portion, samadhavachala buddhi sada yogam avapsyasi. So that achala buddhi, nischala buddhi and achala buddhi. These were the two words. Buddhi becomes nischala. Nischala means free from the movements related to the outer world. Is not operating in the outer world. Nischala. And is now firm on its goal, on its preparedness, etc. Nischala. And later it becomes achala. No movement at all, which is equivalent to the tranquility or the silence of the mind. So this is just comparison, but these are very important words. Just one or two words before Arjuna's question. Nirvedam, dispassion, all these words are possible only at that level. Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyatitarishati sada gantasi nirvedam. Such words are there, and we are now operating just at that level, but with mind as the word. So mind and intellect, etc., are the functional differences. Mind is the subtle equipment. Body is the gross equipment. So all our spiritual progress is basically dealing with the mind. And mind cannot be handled properly unless the physical body is also disciplined to some extent. So disciplining the body is yoga. Disciplining the mind is yoga. Then you can say further that samatvam of the mind is yoga. The skill in action is yoga. These are all at the mental level. So likewise, we need to know the different levels of mind and the terms. So here, the tranquil is the term. Tranquility of the mind is the next term that we have seen, right? So tranquility of the mind can bring into his undertaking with confidence in himself. That is the next term. Self-confidence, Atma Vishwas. And then faith in the goal is the fifth. So confidence in himself and faith in the goal. He further analyzed not just common word used as faith in oneself and in the goal. Confidence in oneself, the preparedness and making us available for the higher undertaking, and the faith in the higher. So these two terms are very important, and we can take it both the terms together also for comparison and for their level. So first thing is self-confidence. What can be said about the self-confidence? Atma Vishwas is an equal term in vernacular. Atma Vishwas. So Vishwas is one important term. Now you must be able to give 3 steps from Vishwas onward.
Shraddha
So he is only giving indicative word. Shraddha and
Nishtha.
Correct. So these are the 3 levels. Start with unless you believe, there is a corresponding terms, belief, faith, and conviction. Conviction is the last. Nishtha. Now first is belief. Believe in yourself that you can do something. You have ability to do. Maybe in potential, but it is there. How do you say that you have abilities and capacities? An example? The Guru Vachan we have to handle carefully and try to analyze it, what exactly Guru is trying to indicate through these words. And till we satisfy that yes, this is in line with his sentences earlier and the following, it matches, it is aligning, then we can proceed further. So here the term is self-confidence, Atma Vishwas. If you want to realize the self, you must at least accept that there has to be possibility of being a self. Unless you believe there is a self, how can you realize there is a self if you don't believe? If you don't have any confidence about it, I don't know whether it is there or not, then there are almost less chances for you to realize. If self-realization is, say, for example, if self-realization is a goal, then do you not have to believe that there is a self? Without which the research cannot begin. Any scientific research you take for granted. There is a life on Mars. Okay, one sentence. Now you must believe this, without which you can't proceed. I don't know whether there is a life in Mars or not, then you cannot do any research. Let us believe and let the observations and the data gain, analysis, etc. prove that there is no life. Then we will give up the idea. But unless you believe, even whether it is there or not, we cannot be as certain about it. There is no certainty about it unless we believe. So to start with is the self-confidence, to confide oneself with the self, that there is a self. Self is expressed by the term I, first person singular. I am using that word. I is the word used several places, several levels. Therefore, I, if it is a representative expression of the self, then only problem possibility is that I have misunderstood the self. But the self has to be there. So when we begin with this kind of belief and try to understand, and there is an understanding, then this understanding reinforces the belief to become a faith. Then it is strong faith, not a blind faith. Is a difference. Till we have a clear understanding, it is only a blind faith. But we have to begin with it. When we are born, we didn't know that these are our parents. We have been introduced to them. This is your mommy, this is your daddy. We have an unseen affinity with them is different. The child has affinity with the womb, with the mother is different, but is not able to understand what it is. Then it is told, mommy. When introduced, we have been introduced and we believed. And now we have accepted because when we started believing it, we also experienced to that extent. According to our belief, we did experience our loving mother, our care and concern, our goodness, our goal. All this we could experience and then we confirm. Then the belief becomes a faith. It's actual experience. So likewise, in the beginning, we must have a belief. And this is indicated by the word self-confidence. Atma Vishwas. Vishwas is the term. The belief that there is a self, because its expression is I. And if we are using the word I for the body, for the pranas like hunger and thirst, for the mind as sorrow and happiness, for the intellect as knowledge and ignorance, or praise and censure, then definitely there has to be someone as the I, which can be called as the self. All others are relative self. So this is how it begins, starting with the faith, uh, starting with the belief, which is to be reinforced with understanding. Then it is becomes a strong faith, and it is this faith that leads to the knowledge. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Important statements in the scripture. Tatparas sanyatendriyaha. Jnanam labdva param shantim achirena adhigacchati. The fourth chapter will tell us the importance of how we have a transition from action to knowledge. So how we can merge our sense of activity into the sense of knowledge. These such ideas will help us. We are going to discuss that in the same portion. But for the time being, we have covered, I believe, the discussion confidence in himself. Is there anything that I think we have not covered in the discussion about this self-confidence? Then the last one is faith in the goal he has chosen to reach. So belief in oneself, belief in the goal we have chosen. Unless we accept that there is such and such goal to be achieved, then it cannot become the faith. So belief in oneself and faith in the goal, two words are used, and so it can it can relate between the belief and the faith. Belief in oneself and faith in the goal. Yes, anything that we can discuss further on this? These are the 5 important points. We can say that first is energy, then is concentration, then tranquility of mind, then self-confidence, and finally faith in the goal. All these 5 are together. He has in the goal he has chosen to reach. Finally, all these 4 are to be used for reaching the goal, the realization of the goal. This is not all. Again, there are a few more, but this will equip us. What we call it as preparedness on our part is very important. Yes, anything we can discuss further? Now I'm moving to the next point. This self-confidence can be generated and continuously maintained even in the face of dire difficulties only if we hold on to our conviction. Now, the conviction is the word that is put up, so it needs further explanation. So Swamiji explains the balanced portion of this paragraph of what is conviction. See now here, what we have gathered as knowledge from our studies of the scriptures, when reinforced by our deeper reflections upon them, becomes our understanding. The knowledge becomes understanding through reflection. When we try to live our understanding, it hardens and crystallizes into our conviction. Now, Swamiji has omitted one word here, which he normally uses, and that is without compromise. And that is here, when we try to live the understanding without compromise. We have this at the intellectual level. All right. What is that? Understanding, study, knowledge. These are all at the intellectual level, right? But this not to compromise it at the level of behavior and action, at the level of mind and body, then it is called as conviction. Conviction is trying to live up to what we have understood without compromising it at the level of our behavior, mental, and action, physical. No compromise at that level. Usually we will find such explanations from government officials or even in the private sector. Yes, your idea is correct. I accept it in principle, but it's not practicable. Or then if it is not practicable, then it is not, principle is also not principle. If the knowledge is not practicable, then it's not a knowledge, it is only imagination. Whatever we learn and whatever we know, we must be able to realize that knowledge in ourselves. It is possible only if when we do not compromise with it at the level of behavior and action. So only intellectual, keeping the ideas at the intellectual level with compromising at the level of mind and body is like a donkey carrying a gold on his back, not knowing the value of it. He may only perhaps instinctively imagine whether the load is little more than yesterday or it is less. He won't know the value, what is the load, whether it is grass or whether it is stones or whether it is gold. It makes no difference for the donkey. But that's not the case for the man who is self-conscious. So now that whatever learning he has done, converted into knowledge, knowledge has given rise to an understanding. This is all at the intellectual level. But now this understanding, the intellect being the officer in charge in our body politic, this understanding has to be executed at all levels without compromise. If I have accepted it, this is as correct, and I have a firm faith and conviction about it, then I should not compromise with it at the lower level of mental and physical. And this ability to that, to live up to our conviction is called the conviction. So this harden is one word, but crystallizing is better word. Swamiji has used the word harden and then he has used the word crystallizing. In a chemical reaction, this is the most apt word into our conviction. So the understanding, when we live our understanding. So when we live our understanding without compromise, we have to add to understand. To live our understanding is not easy. Always the mind will pose a problem. See, now there is a practical situation. You see that it's not possible to live up to that, etc. Will always confront us. And there may be some physical difficulties also in executing that. But still, we do not give up. And we try to see, as far as possible, we live up to it without compromising. Only when we are able to live up to it, then it is called a conviction, not till then. Then only it is called as nishtha. Nishtha, there it is the firmness in our understanding, knowledge, etc. And we have given one illustration for that. Whether our convictions are true or not. The some illustration.
Example of coal, which is fixed in the ground.
Very good. I'm happy you are remembering correctly exactly what we have discussed. And the farmers in the villages, when the crop is ready and for further processing, etc., they have ground in front of their house and they need to fix the one or two poles there on the ground. And then when the pole is sufficiently deep enough and we have done all whatever is required to be done, then we try to move it. And if it is not moving, then we conclude that now it is fixed. So the nishtha is like that pole. And therefore, definitely there will be challenges. When you decide not to compromise, then next is challenge. It will make you compromise. And there, how do you face? That makes the understanding as conviction. Understanding is a resultant of the study of the scriptures, etc. So learn and learn, know, understand. Learning is called vidya. Then it gives rise to knowledge. And in knowledge gives rise to an understanding. The understanding becomes a conviction only if we do not compromise with our understanding at the intellectual level. We don't compromise it at the level of mind and body, behavior and action. Behave yourself, when we say, it is the warning to the mind. Action is only an expression, a louder expression of what is there in the mind. So these are analytical understandings that we should have, and Swamiji has managed to convey one thing. Till the main topic, Stop Worry Act, is not yet started. This is only a preliminary presentation, introductory presentation, that before we think about how to tackle our worries, what we need to equip ourselves with those five words that are given in the early part of the first para, and the later on the how the intellect will equip itself through earlier efforts with all those five, how it will improve from the learning to the knowledge, knowing, from knowing to the understanding. The understanding is final. That makes the intellect mature. And afterwards, not to compromise at the level of behavior and action makes it as conviction. So entire balance half of the para is only to spell out what is conviction, how it is reached. It is not ready to use available. We have to reach to that level through first five words, which are here. It shows the five words are the energy, tranquility, and then confidence in himself, then faith in the goal. These are four. And one more. This is the preliminary aspect. And the balance aspect of conviction is this: hold on to our conviction. So difficulty is that this self-confidence can be generated and continuously maintained even in the face of dire difficulties only if we hold on to our conviction. When it word conviction comes, then the balance part of the para, maybe a sentence or two, is detailing out what is conviction and then concluding what is conviction. So this is so much packed with ideas. We require to read and reflect again and again and become clear. Then we will come to know that in spite of this achievement, even then, the worrying aspect of the mind, we cannot, it cannot be taken care of by the so far preparedness. and it requires further treatment. What is that? That we will have to discuss it. We'll do it that next time. And so far, for the timing, we'll stop here only. We have elaborately discussed the first para, and therefore it is not necessary that we should again discuss next time first para for warming up. We can straight away, if we are clear about these ideas in the first para, we can straight away go to the second para. For the time being, we are now holding here. Is there any announcement?
Hari Om. Friday is that is 18th of March is next day of Holi. So our class will be suspended on that day, and next class will be on Monday. Hari Om.
Now we'll have concluding pledge and Shanti Path. We stand as one family, bound to each other with love and respect. We serve as an army, courageous and disciplined, ever ready to fight against all low tendencies and false values within and without us. We live honestly the noble life of sacrifice and service, producing more than what we consume and giving more than what we take. We seek the Lord's grace to keep us on the path of virtue, courage, and wisdom. May thy grace and blessing flow through us to the world around us. We believe that the service of our country is the service of the Lord of Lords, and devotion to the people is the devotion to the Supreme Self. We know our responsibilities, give us the ability and courage to fulfill them. Om Tat Sat. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kasyid dukkha bhag bhave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Asato ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityurmamritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Hari Om, everybody.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, sir.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, sir.